Welcome to the deep dive. Ever stop to think about how, well, unseen influences or maybe even just our deepest intentions might be shaping our world?
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it? How the physical and non-physical connect.
Exactly. And today we're diving deep into something pretty unique. The Law of One, session 105 specifically. This one's from October 19, 1983.
Right. For anyone maybe new to this, the law of one material comes from Ra, channeled through someone they call the instrument.
Our mission today is really to unpack this session, question by question.
Yeah, session 105 is this amazing mix. You get really practical stuff about the group's health, their house,
Uh-huh.
and then these huge philosophical insights about, why we're even here, why we age. It's all woven together.
It really is. So let's jump right in with that first part, wellness and these energetic influences.
Okay, so 105.1 starts with Ra checking in on the instrument's condition.
Hey, how is she doing?
Well, good news and, well, ongoing challenges. Ra notes her will and faith are back strong, which is great.
That sounds positive.
It is, but there's still this physical deficit. So right away, you see that tension between, spiritual strength and physical limits.
Definitely. And it gets pretty intense quickly, doesn't it? With those
Oh,
welts.
absolutely. The questioner asks about these symmetrical welts on the instrument's back. And Ra's answer in 105.2 is, well, it's startling.
What was it?
A prolonged psychic greeting.
A psychic greeting. That sounds intense, like an attack.
Pretty much, yeah. Ra clarifies this greeting was designed as an opportunity, a trigger for severe allergic reactions, strep and staph viruses.
Good grief. Why? What was the goal?
The intent, Ra says, was that the instrument might actually wish to leave the incarnation.
Wow. That's heavy. Shows the stakes involved in their work.
It really does. Ra also mentions a fifth density companion, sort of a helper guide, who was maybe caught off guard before but is now fully prepared for these kinds of things.
So this wasn't just some random illness. It was targeted.
Yeah.
How did the instrument handle that kind of pressure?
Her response was incredible, really. Ra notes she consistently refused chances to separate self from other self.
What does that mean exactly?
Like opportunities to isolate, maybe make decisions just for herself, detach from the group or the work. But she held firm in unity.
Okay.
And she kept doing this deep indigo ray level work, avoiding what Ra calls martyrdom, but sticking to unity and love.
Amazing dedication. But it took a physical toll.
It did. Her immune system was breached, lymphatic system involved. The greeting found a way in physically.
So what did Ras suggest? Practical steps.
Very practical, yeah. In 105.2 and 105.3, things like therapeutic enemas or colonics,
Okay.
sauna use once or twice a day, and vigorously rubbing the skin for about 7 days.
Interesting. Was diet mentioned?
Not as a primary remedy here, no. Ra points out she already had a very supportive diet, so the focus was more on cleansing and boosting the immune system directly.
Makes sense. Support the body through the intense work.
But she wasn't the only one facing physical issues, right? Jim, the questioner, had his kidney problem return. Right, 105.4. And this is another fascinating link between intention and physical reality.
How so?
Jim was deep into this pursuit and contemplation of perfection.
Yeah.
Prayer, fasting, really intense spiritual work.
Admirable stuff.
Absolutely. But Ross says he didn't quite grasp the literal way his body would translate those intentions.
What happened?
His body, which hadn't fully healed from a previous kidney issue, nephrotic syndrome, it started this systemic cleanse, but it dumped all the toxins through the kidneys without enough liquid intake.
Ouch. So his spiritual practice kind of backfired physically.
In a way, Roz is clear it wasn't a metaphysical relapse, just a physical illness reactivated because of how the body literally interpreted the cleansing process. Too much, too fast, not enough fluid.
That's a huge takeaway. Our intentions can have very direct, very literal physical effects.
What about his healing?
Ra sounded optimistic. Said the healing was already happening through affirmation of body complex health and should be completely efficacious, basically fully effective, unless something unexpected came up. Good. It shows the body can heal when we understand what it needs.
Exactly, and the body's capacity is amazing.
Okay, so let's shift from individual bodies to the body of the house, you could say. They were moving, right? Metaphysics of dwellings.
Yeah, they were planning a move to a house near Lake Lanier. So in 105.5 and 105.6, the questioner asks if it's okay, energetically benign.
And was it?
Yes, Ra confirms the new dwelling is benign. Good news there. And their planned cleansing using salt for 3 nights, 2 days, that was acceptable too.
Simple enough.
But then Ra adds something specific, 3 areas where using garlic would be beneficial.
Garlic. Okay, that's unexpected. Where?
One spot was in the bunk bedroom, under the top bunk. Another was outside, facing the road. Ra even gives a distance and magnetic heading.
Wow, specific.
Very. And the third spot, the most interesting one, was the boathouse.
Ah, yes, the boathouse. This required more than just a one-off cleanse, didn't it?
Much more. Ra advised weekly cleansings for the boathouse, using garlic, cut onion, and doing a light-filled perimeter walk.
And the garlic and onion had to stay there, renewed weekly.
Exactly. Permanently hung, but replaced each week. Quite the ritual for a boathouse.
So, naturally, the questioner asked why. In 105.8, what was the big philosophical reason for keeping garlic in the boathouse?
And the answer in 105.8 and 105.9 is just wonderfully practical. It wasn't about warding off evil spirits or anything.
No,
It was to deter apiary denizens.
Apiary denizens. Bees?
Or wasps. Ra says the garlic and onion perimeter would make them feel it wasn't necessary to sting there or promising to build nests.
Bees and wasps. That's amazing.
Aha.
From the highest metaphysics to practical pest control.
It really shows the scope, doesn't it?
Yeah.
These principles apply everywhere, from the cosmic down to, well, keeping wasps out of your shed. It connects everything.
A great reminder. Okay, so before they leave the old place, Jim planned a deconsecration. Was that okay? 105.10.
Yes, Ra confirmed Jim's ritual was sufficient, no changes needed. But Ra added this lovely little suggestion to thank and bless each second density woody plant, basically the trees and shrubs they'd cared for there.
Oh, that's beautiful. A nice touch of gratitude for nature.
Really is.
Yeah.
Connects back to that unity theme.
Now, about the move itself, Ra gives some pretty direct advice in 105.4111, which seems a bit unusual given the emphasis on free will.
Right. Ra acknowledges it comes close to abrogation of free will, infringing on it.
So why give the advice?
Because of the instrument's deep commitment, her determination to be of service, regardless of personal circumstance, made the advice acceptable. The dedication allowed for more direct guidance.
What was the advice then?
Warnings, mostly. If the instrument helped physically with packing or untacking, the dust and mildew would trigger her allergies.
Okay, practical.
Yeah. So they recommend someone named Bob help instead. And crucially, both the scribe Jim and the instrument should drink double the amount of liquids during the move.
Why double liquids?
To help flush out any toxins stirred up by the process, supporting their bodies through the transition.
Makes sense. Deep care shown there. And would contacting Ra be okay in the new place?
Yes, Ra reassures them. No difficulty in resuming contact once the new place is cleansed, physically and metaphysically. That connection wasn't location dependent.
That must have been comforting. There's also a quick mention of a hawk sighting, 105.12. Jin wondered if it was a warning about a previous house choice.
Right, and Ra's response is classic Ra, instead of a yes or no.
Let me guess. Turned it back on him.
Exactly. Ra asks what bird comes to affirm for Ra, what bird would be chosen to warn, then tells Jim to ponder these queries.
Inviting personal reflection on signs, not giving easy answers.
Precisely, encouraging that inner discernment.
Okay, let's shift gears significantly now. Moving from the practical details to some really deep philosophical territory. The purpose of incarnation, the physical body, the yellow ray body.
Yes, this is where the session really expands. In 105.13, the questioner proposes that the physical body is mainly a device to feed catalysts back to the mind to create polarization, especially after the veil of forgetting.
The veil being that mechanism that makes us forget past lives and our connection to everything.
Exactly. It intensifies the experience. So Ra responds to Jim's idea.
And is the body just a catalyst feedback device?
Ra says that description fits the mind-body-spirit complex well, but the actual role, the position and creation of physical manifestation didn't change when the veil is introduced.
So the body's fundamental function is the same, veil or no veil.
That seems to be the point. The experience changed dramatically because of the veil, but the body's essential purpose didn't.
Okay, so Jim then asks in 105.14 if the body is like an athanor, a kind of alchemical furnace to accelerate the mind's evolution.
Right, using that analogy. And Ra refines it.
How so?
Ra says athanor captures the transformative aspect, but it might be more accurate to note that the yellow ray physical vehicle is a necessity. A necessity without which the mind-body-spirit complex cannot pursue evolution at any pace.
Not just faster, but at all.
Within that specific densities framework, yes. Ra clarifies further in 105.16. Physical vehicles don't just accelerate growth, they permit it.
Permit it. Okay, unpack that distinction.
It means that while our core essence, the mind-body-spirit complex, exists outside of physical vehicles, certain evolutionary lessons and experiences require a specific type of vehicle for that density. Without the yellow ray body in third density, we simply couldn't engage with the lessons available here. It enables the process itself.
That's a crucial point. It's not just a speed boost. It's the necessary vessel for the journey in this dimension. Let's bring back Jim's kidney issue to illustrate the veil's impact, like in 105.17. How would that experience have been different before the veil?
Rag gives some really clear examples. Before the veil, the kind of anger separation that might fuel certain issues, impossible.
Okay.
A basic lack of awareness about the body's need for water, unlikely. And the specific way Jim chose to contemplate perfection, quite improbable.
So the veil creates the conditions for those kinds of intense, sometimes painful learning experiences.
Exactly. And in 105.18, Ra paints a picture of life prevailing. Illness, disease, even death, they were seen as part of a benignant domain, a sort of benevolent, understood part of the plan.
How is healing different? Or death?
Healing could happen just by a decision of the mind-body-spirit complex. And death wasn't feared. It was clearly seen and accepted as just a transition, a continuation.
Wow. So what's the core difference in the quality of experience then?
This is key. Ross says prevailing experiences, both the good and the bad, were kind of pale, without the vibrancy or the keen edge of interest that characterizes life after the veil.
So the veil, despite the forgetting and challenges, makes everything more intense, more vivid.
Precisely. It amps up the contrast, making the lessons learned much more impactful, accelerating polarization and growth through that intensity.
This leads beautifully into the next big question, aging. In 105.18, the questioner asks if people even looked old, had wrinkles before the veil.
And Ross says yes, the physical signs of aging, the body's processes, were largely the same. Physical endurance wasn't the main difference.
What was the difference then?
The forgetting within the deeper mind, that internal experience created by the veil.
Okay, so if aging happened anyway, what's the fundamental philosophical reason for it? Why build decay into the system? That's 105.20.
This is such a profound perspective from Ra. They explain that, especially in third density, with the veil, not having an end built into the physical vehicle would be counterproductive.
Counterproductive? Why?
Because, Ra says, within the illusion, it seems more lovely to be within the illusion than to drop the garment and move on.
So we'd get too attached to the physical life, the illusion.
Exactly. Aging acts as a kind of built-in prompt. It encourages detachment from the physical form over time. It helps us recognize when the lessons for this particular go-around are learned, nudging us toward moving on to the next phase of experience.
So aging isn't a flaw, it's a feature, designed to help us let go and progress.
That's the perspective Ray offers, yes. A benevolent mechanism to prevent getting stuck. And Ra confirms in 105.21 that the body served as an athanor, that transformative vessel, even before the veil. But aging became particularly important after the veil to provide that push.
That completely reframes the experience of getting older. It's not just declined, it's part of the spiritual design for growth.
It really does offer a different lens, doesn't it? Transforms it into something purposeful.
Absolutely. Okay, as we near the end of this deep dive into session 105, Ra gives some final advice to the group in 105.22. How did Ra wrap things up?
With real warmth and encouragement. Ra acknowledges their weariness, which seems to be a long-standing thing for them, but praises the harmony they maintain despite it.
That balance is key.
Very much so. And Ra emphasizes the need for love and thanksgiving for each other, always joining in fellowship, and if there are tensions, any broken strand of that affection, to fix it patiently, quietly, with comfort.
That's just beautiful advice for any relationship, any group working closely together.
It truly is. Universal wisdom there about patience, unity, and mutual support.
Any final checks or practical notes from Ra?
Just affirmations, really. That all the alignments for the channeling were meticulously observed and the instrument was persevering in her indigo ray work. And one final reminder of the earlier advice, extra liquids for both the instrument and the questioner, Jim.
Right, because of their connection.
Exactly. Ra highlights their deep bond, saying each difficulty for one is the same in sympathy for the other. It really underscores their interconnectedness.
What a session. We went from, psychic defenses and garlic for wasps.
Right.
All the way to the fundamental reasons for physical life, the veil, and even why we age. An incredible range.
It really covers so much ground. Practical, philosophical, physical, metaphysical, all intertwined.
And hopefully, listener, unpacking this helps you see connections in your own life, how subtle energies, intentions, and even the design of our bodies play a role in our journey.
Absolutely. Seeing the bigger picture, maybe the benevolent design behind things we often just see as struggle or limitation.
So here's a final thought to ponder.
Hmm.
If aging itself is part of this benevolent design, meant to help us detach and evolve, how might viewing our own physical changes through that lens shift our experience? Could it bring more gratitude, more purpose as we move through life?
Something deep to reflect on.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into session 105 of the Law of One.
We hope you continue your own explorations.